video I visit my brother's workshop as he has a problem with parting off on his lathe. We look at the tooling, the chuck and the speeds and feeds. So let's go to his workshop and see how he does it.
Problem I've noticed is when I'm parting off, the tool tends to get caught in the workpiece and is taken underneath the centre line. And then in some cases it locks the lathe solid. Even if I'm in back gear, even though there's a lot of power there, it still stalls the lathe. And you can see some of the movement is in the tool post dropping down, but I think some of the problems caused by the chuck not registering properly. So here I'm just showing that I'm on the centre line with this parting tool. It's not the best parting tool, but it's fairly strong because of the depth of it, so I'm not going to break the parting tool, but the rake angle could be slightly off. But yeah, I've just freshly sharpened this, and as you can see it's on the centre line, so that's set up ready to go. Now I'll square it up to the lathe. So I've set the centre line on the parting tool, so I know this is all set up and correct. So now I'm going to just square it up to the chuck, and the way I do it is I'll just use a T-square and just set it up. And you can feel it quite easily, which when it's dead on. Lock that up. So that's square now to the chuck, ready to go. So now that's with very little cut on, and we're getting vibrations, and it's showing us like notches on there. So that's highlighting the problem straight away, isn't it? So I'll drop the speed down now to stop that. Bring it to back gear, so it's going to be a bit rattly. People say don't tickle it to put a decent amount of pressure on, don't they? But when you see the way it locks up, you're afraid it's going to lock up in a minute. Try to lock up, I can feel it here on the motor. As I say, some people say to put a decent amount of pressure on there. Stop cutting now. So what's changed from cutting nicely?
It's nice, that's cutting again.
So it must have picked up a bit on the tip, I suppose. Not pretty much pressure on that though. It's not cutting. Increase the pressure. No, it's
I think the spool's rolling round and it's getting trapped between.
It does look like that. As we've gone into a groove, we trapped it now. We can't get away. Yeah. So every time I clear that, it cuts nicely. Then it rolls over on itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a foolproof or problem that is then, isn't it? Yeah. Right, I've just put this blade on the grindstone. I'm just taking this, put an angle in here to take it down so the metal stops curling around in this area. So obviously right up here and escape out the groove that we're cutting. So we'll try that and see how that cuts. Let's try again now with this different profile. Same speed on the lathe. Yeah, so curl it up and it's just, perhaps it'll stop the cut so it can break away. Still rolling round on itself. Okay, just changing the tool to this other parting off tool, so I've just got to set the height of this. I'll make the groove wider to get down to where we was before. It's a wider parting tool. That's normally a good indication, isn't it? So take it out of the back gear and try it.
Yeah, try it at a faster speed.
There's a funny noise there.
So I don't think it's your chuck or anything, I think it's your tool.
Tool profile definitely is a problem, isn't it? So I'm at 540 RPM now.
Too fast.
So is that the chuck moving on the register? So as you can see, as I rotate this, the light bounces off. You can see it's put like lots of flats on there, which is a consequence of the vibration. Is it showing up all right yet? So where's that originating from? So is it the register, which I know is not a good register on this, between the back plate and the lathe spindle. I've just put a bit of tubing in there. We're just going to see how this part's off. See if we can get any like noises.
Slow the speed down.
Yeah, which is what I normally do, just drop the speed down. So if I go to the lowest speed without having to go into that gear, it should be 210. The idea of changing that metal was so it goes into the jaws a bit further, because there is a bit of bell nose, say call it bell nose, you know, the jaws do need sorted out. Require a bit of pressure on there. Coping with that, I'll just put it into back gear. So this is now the slow speed this machine runs at, which is 40. It's got rid of the noise, but it's very slow, obviously. So it'd be cutting at its best on that. Pressure on it. It's a bit more rubbing than cutting going on there. changed the tip. We'll try again with some lubrication. On the inside. I've changed the metal in the chuck now, and we're going up to 540 RPM. See how this cuts. As quick as I put the feed in, it likes that. Likes the lubrication. See it snatching there. You see it snatching the cross line underneath.
Saw it pull it across on the end.
So even though that play there is just caused that to be pulled into the work.
That's when you got right down to the middle.
But that cut really nice, but I know this is good metal. Right, we just found out the height of the tool was out. It was quite a bit lower. I suppose that far lower, the diameter of that pip there that broke off, so that's why it drew the tool in underneath. So we're just resetting the height. Don't really know why it was there, so we did change the tip. Like that speed.
Slow it down.
Suits in.
See it on the end of the bar, the pip.
Yeah. That's putting quite a bit of pressure on, so I think it just sheared it off when it got to that size. Just in conclusion then, having a tool with the correct profile and combination of lubrication does a much better job, especially when it's on the right height, which I thought it was, so I don't know why it dropped as much as it did. We're just checking the jaws for wear and tear, so put some micrometer blue on this some silver steel and put it inside the chuck and just nipped it up and slid the bar out, so it just transfers the micrometer blue onto the jaw. And can you see, is that focused alright to see the blue? Yeah. And it's not too bad, it's better than I thought it would have been. It's put a fairly equal line all the way down the length on all three jaws.
That was some of the problems we have when we're parting off. a mixture of tool sharpness, speeds and feeds, and the material you're cutting. I hope that was useful, hope it was interesting, and we'll see you next time on Enots Engineering.